So today we're in the town of Beer and we're just walking down now to the coast down at the beach, and we're going to be meeting up with one of the other ambassadors called Mike Green. Mike's an absolutely knowledgeable individual and has a lot of passion for the local geology of Beer. And I met up with him back when I started off as an ambassador for the Jurassic Coast Trust. So we've got Beer Beach behind me down here. We're just going to be taking a walk down here and meeting up with Mike Green, the other ambassador for the Jurassic Coast Trust. So, going to walk on down and meet up with Mike. So, Mike, if I remember correctly, you had a part to play in making this coast recognised as a World Heritage Site.
Yeah, just a small part. When they were sort of sounding people out this and the other, they had a little meeting in the Anchor Hotel just up there, and I was invited to come to it. And they said, "Oh, we'd like you to meet one of the judges." But we heard apparently you know how to talk. So I did. I met one of the judges who came over from New Zealand, and we got on really well. One of my interests is prehistory and flints, which you can get a lot of Neolithic flints, and you get the flint from the chalk, of course. And he was late, so I thought, I don't know, I'll just wander around and see if I can see anything.
Yeah.
And I found a little escarpment, and I actually found a Neolithic flint, which I presented to him when he came. Okay. So my little story is that that's the only reason we got the designation in the end, was because I bribed him with a Neolithic flint.
So basically you got to know this judge, and that judge was part of the process that... How did that work?
He was there to analyse the sort of case we had put forward, as it were, and see if it was justified getting the UNESCO
status.
Which we did, and it was good.
The story of the Jurassic Coast geology. Where do we begin?
Excellent. So we're going to start when we're part of Pangaea, way down in the tropics. All right, where we're sat now, way down in the tropics, and that's when the Triassic desert deposits were laid down. We're way down there, like Sahara today,
So that would have been about 250 million years ago.
250 million years ago. Yeah. And then, as Pangaea pulls apart and we start sinking, we go beneath the waves, and then you get the Jurassic, which is marine deposit.
About 200 million years ago, ish, give or take.
Ish, exactly. Yeah. Then we get the early Cretaceous.
So that's probably about 145-ish.
Yeah, something like that, ish. And then, about 100 million years ago...
100 million years ago.
The whole of Britain tilts, and we get this effect, and we get some erosion off the top. And then we get the last bit
part of the Cretaceous,
of the early Cretaceous, the upper greensands, and then we get the chalk deposits on top.
Of the late Cretaceous.
And these are the ones that we're going to be looking at today.
Today down on Beer Beach.
Down on Beer Beach. Yeah.
And that's the same white sort of rock that stretched to the cliffs of Dover as well, isn't it?
That's right. All the way around to Flamborough Head.
Okay, so the actual white cliffs of Dover are actually Cretaceous in age then?
They are, and if you go across the channel, you'll find it there as well.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Righty, well, we'll go down the beach and we'll have a little look and see it for ourselves.
Excellent.
Yeah, so, Mike, if I remember right then, the cliffs here at Beer are all Cretaceous age, aren't they?
That's right.
But we've got different layers. So we've got upper greensands at the bottom.
At the very bottom.
The very base of the cliff.
All these rocks that have come out with the low tide, they're all upper greensands.
Upper greensands,
and then you can see the joint. We're going to have a closer look in a minute, if you like.
Yeah, that's good.
See the joint near the bottom of the cliff.
Yeah.
Should I give a better shot of us and the cliffs and things?
That's beautiful. Absolutely wonderful.
So you've got these fabulous cliffs, all right, that stick out like this, and that is the prevailing wind coming from that direction, southwesterly winds.
Yeah.
So that's protecting this bay and making it a lot safer for the fishing fleet than it is on some of the beaches to the west or to the east of us, all right? That affects what you do here. So Beer is famous for its fishing fleet and for its, its seamanship and all those things. But it's because, of course, the Beer guys could get to sea more often.
Well, safely without the incoming wind.
Exactly. So they could do more fishing and be more prosperous and everything else because of it. Before we move on, though, we'll just say as well, smuggling.
Ah, that's always a fun topic.
Yeah, so that was another sort of benefit of having this cliff here.
Yeah.
And also there's caves in it, so where you could hide things and all this sort of thing. So, yeah, so it affects you. Yeah. Let's go and have a closer look.
Let's have a little look, yeah.
So, Kieran, a bit of undergrowth here, but perhaps we can manage to force our way in.
Yeah.
So this is the Upper Greensand, and this is the last piece, basically, of the early Cretaceous.
Yeah.
Right? This is the last sort of formation. And then we go into the Cenomanian. You can see it, an absolute line.
Yeah, it's quite definitive.
And you can also see that this is quite friable, this sandstone. In some places it's really quite hard, but in other places it's very quite, it's soft, it's very soft. But this, to coin a phrase, is hard as rock. So Beer sits in the syncline, which basically means that when all the chalk was, buried deep in the earth, as it were, it got, there was pressures and it got bent down like this.
So it dipped into like a valley?
Dipped into like a valley, exactly.
Yeah.
Another thing that affected the history of beer, of course, because then the runoff waters from the Ice Age and that have gouged out a riverbed, as it were, and you've got a fresh water supply. People have been living here since the last Ice Age, probably 10,000 years anyways.
Yeah.
But you can see this if you look at these two cliffs. So you look at the far cliff,
Yeah.
and you'll see the seams gently sloping
Inward.
to our left. And then if you look at this cliff on this side, you'll see they're gently sloping in the other direction. And that's it. You get a better view if you went out to sea.
That's
but
amazing.
You can actually see that from here.
And that's where obviously the cliffs on both sides have gone inwards into that valley-like shape.
They've been bent, they've been buckled. Yeah.
When
I was a kid,
yeah.
so we're talking about the early 50s, the middle 50s.
Not too long ago.
If we would be now standing in water.
Oh, wow.
All right. And you see the concrete in the far point?
Yeah.
It's filling up a hole, and the beach used to disappear through that hole. And the beach was probably, the volume of this beach was only a quarter of what it is now.
Oh my God.
So this is all due to longshore drift and the fact that now that they've built a concrete pier and filled that hole up, it's collecting rather than dispersing.
Right, okay, yes, I recall you telling me this once before.
Slowed it right down, slowed the movement right down.
So effectively, the beach, in essence, was moving this direction.
Yep, it's going this way all the time.
But
if you come back here in 5,000, 10,000 years, there may not be any beaches in East Devon at all. They've only been here 5,000 or 10,000 years. Right?
It's incredible. It's difficult to comprehend.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're one of the results of the last ice age. So we're going to look for can you remember the name of the stone we're looking for?
I believe we're looking for Budley Buns, aren't we?
That's right, a Budley Bun.
Budley Bun.
And the thing about Budley Buns is they're one of the proofs of longshore drift. So as the name indicates, they come from Budley. And we'll stop and have a look.
I wouldn't even know what I'm looking for.
They're very distinctive. They tend to be purplish in colour, not exclusively, but most of them are. And they're very flat, and they're very good. We used to pick them out as kids for skimming.
Stone skimming.
So we were learning geology even at that age, even though we didn't know what we were doing, as it were.
So where was it that you learned all of this? Self-taught?
Self-taught, yeah. From books and people, I guess, and being involved in the Jurassic Coast.
Did you have anyone in particular that stood out to you as a mentor that taught you a lot of stuff?
No, but there's loads of people. Sam, both the Sams. A whole string of people. And I've been on geology tours and things like that as well in other parts of the country. Anyways,
you got one? You got one?
I found one.
Here we are. Look at that. Oh yeah, and you can see it's quite actually distinctively different.
Distinctively different.
Yeah, it's
flat.
Look at that. So these have been washed in from Budley Salton.
From Budley Salton. They're on their way up the coast. Eventually it'll leave here on its journey. So went up to Portland Bill, which is still part of the Jurassic Coast, and looked at some ancient beaches there from the last ice age, 100,000 years ago, roughly. In the beach, which is about 15 metres above sea level now, so the sea has been a lot higher than it is now, in that beach I found Budley Buns.
That far up?
All right. The great, fabulous thing about this is they've come from the same source, all right?
Yeah.
So we can now deduce that the prevailing wind here 100,000 years ago was from the southwest.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And another example of obviously how geology can teach us about
paleoclimates. Absolutely.
And how it's useful for predicting how future climates may possibly be as well. All from a little pebble from Budley Sultan.